here. Yes, we are all here. Fantastic. Today we have. It's not going to be a very long lesson, actually. Not very long. Yeah, because we're going to see Deceptive Cadences here. Yes, exactly. It's going to be a huge deception. No, I'm kidding. And then we are quite close to end the chapter. Yes. Then we're going to see some freer, let's say. The last topic of the chapter is going to be the 6/4 chord in cadences, and then from now on, I promise they're going to be so fun, because everything from now is freer, uses of the seventh and diminished chords and modulations, and so it's like fun. But the Deceptive Cadences are fun enough. Now, before we start, this chapter is all about, or this topic is all about the Deceptive Cadence, what are they, uses, and moreover, yes, the voice leading. Yes, is all about that. The seventh degree of the fifth, how it resolves. But before that, I think you know, at least Iris and Georgios should know what a deceptive cadence is, because you saw it in Kaplan. Would you care to elaborate on that before I start? Come on, Iris. Brave one.
So, I don't know if it's the correct definition, but deceptive cadence is the passing from the fifth to either the sixth or the first inversion or any other chord that is not tonic.
Well, when you say first inversion of which chord? Sorry.
I said the tonic in first inversion.
Ah, the tonic in first inversion. Okay, except of the root, let's say. Okay, very good. Yes. And the name Deceptive Cadence, I mean, why do you think that we have that name? Why deceptive? I mean, why we have the authentic that we all know and love, yes, apparently, which is 5/7/1, yes, the perfect authentic cadence, and then we have another one that's called the plagal cadence. The plagal cadence, it is. Do you know what the plagal cadence is, by the way?
Yeah. For one.
Exactly, for one that is more connected to the church modes, and then deceptive cadence. Deceptive, the word deceptive comes from which word? Anyone? Laura, Iris, or Georgios, anyone?
Comes from like being deceitful.
Yes, exactly. Why would you think, Laura? Let me see. This deceptive cadence that goes from 5, as very well Iris said, very good Iris said, 5 dominant to the 6. Yes. So not to the 1, let's say, in root position, is deceitful.
Because it makes you feel like it's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it doesn't fulfill the expectation that the dominant seventh has. I mean, the dominant seventh, when you listen to a dominant seventh, even if you don't know anything about music, yes, if you do this, yes, for example, if I play, what do you expect? Georgios, you expect that? Yes, even if you don't know anything about music, yes, if you do this and they stay there, It's like go. Yeah. If you do this, yeah, that, I mean, you build expectation. You put, let's say, everything, the play, the actors, yes, everything, to say, here he comes, and then whoop, we didn't resolve. Yeah, that's why it's deceptive. Yeah, it has another name. I mean, in truth, it's known as deceptive cadence. It's known as broken cadence because you're breaking the, let's say, the pattern, yes, of this relationship between the dominant and the tonic. And also it has also some books, just saying, they have another name. It's called deviated cadence. Yes, because it's a deviation. It's all that energy that is contained in the tension, let's say, harmonic tension, that is inbuilt in the dominant, doesn't go to the tonic. It's deviated into another chord. Yes, so if you hear broken cadence, deceptive cadence, deviated cadence, they're talking about the same thing in a nutshell. Yeah. So, Georgios, 5 dominant and submediant is the only case. 2-part question, Georgios. Is the only deceptive cadence that we can use? That's the first question. Second part of the question: is a deceptive cadence, like it is said, one in first inversion? So you have dominant and the tonic in first inversion.
Now, that's a tricky question because, well, different books say different things, I have noticed. So some will say only the 5/6. Others will say not only that. The literature definitely favors 5/6. The most common case is 5/6 or 4/5/6. In any case, 5 first inversion tonic. Some could call it deceptive, I am sure. Some could call it an imperfect, I am sure. In any case, it's not what we want, and it's not complete. Now, what is a deceptive? It's a very, it's a term, I guess, whom you ask. It depends on. So yes, that's my answer, more or less.
Okay. Well, I will agree with you in the case of the imperfect. Yes. So it is the only thing. What you said is true. 5/1/6 is imperfect cadence. It's not considered to be deceptive. Yes, because it's not perfect. Remember, to be a perfect, to have a authentic, perfect authentic cadence, you need to have both chords in root position, so dominant and the tonic. And then what else? Let me see. What do you need to have as well to have a perfect authentic cadence? The full, the works.
You need a 1. Then
You need a tonic in root position as the dominant. What
then
else?
2 or 4. And then 5.
Yeah, but you just have the last 2 chords, the dominant and the tonic. Yeah, so then what are the characteristics of perfect authentic cadence? Because I think I know what you mean. I mean, when you want a progression, tonic, predominant, dominant, tonic. That's a progression, 4 chords. But the cadence itself, perfect, authentic cadence, is just 2 chords.
Could be.
Yeah.
Now again, the book, depending. And Kipling even calls imperfect when it's in root position, but the soprano doesn't sing the root.
Yeah.
If it is on the third, for example, he calls that imperfect, but has to be in root position. He doesn't give a specific name for dominant and then tonic in first inversion, actually. He calls it, I think, at some point deceptive, at another point not deceptive. He, very consistent with that specifically. I don't know what to think of 5 tonic first inversion. It would you like. Anyway, I'm talking too much about other things. And your question, I assume the other elements as well would also matter to make a cadence, like not just harmony, like the melody and the form.
Well, the form, yes, because in Kipling it's a little bit vague. I believe because then he has more. You have cadential deviations in which you weaken the dominant, but that's another thing. Yes, or you have the abandoned cadences, for example, in which you can have the tonic, in first inversion. So careful with it, not to get confused to that. The cadence, the Deceptive Cadence, and then we're going to go to.
Because I don't think Schonberg mentions abandoned and evaded cadences.
No, exactly. No, and the reason why he doesn't is that he's just focused on the harmony. And that's the thing. There are a lot of cadences that they say cadential deviation. They have this word cadence related to cadence, cadential, because they're. I mean, they need a fall. They need a closure. Yes, and but in this closure, that closure doesn't happen, but it has a motivic component. Abandoned cadence has a motivic component. Yes, for example. Yeah. So basically, in the Kipling book, the Analysis in Classical Form, you have cadential deviations. They all have a motivic component. So you just look at the harmony. Yes, you have just 2 cases that we're going to see now. Yeah, as Deceptive Cadences. Yes, but related to the perfect authentic cadence, the perfect authentic cadence by the book, just to close this, you need dominant, tonic, both in root positions, and the leading tone has to be on the upper voice. Yes, in the case of the soprano, and it has to resolve in the root, which in this case matches the tonic. Yeah, that is the perfect authentic cadence. Yeah. Now, as the matter of the Schonberg, okay, Schonberg. There you go. Now, the topic, Deceptive Cadences. This term is understood to mean the substitution for the expected progression, 5-1. Yeah? So, the substitution, so you're not going to use, you're going to replace, let's say, this expectation of 5-1 of the progressions 5-6 or 5-4. So this is the original form. 1 is expected after the 5, but it does not come. 5 or 4 come instead. but 1 is expected after 5 only at the close in the authentic cadence. Yes, only at the close. Since the tonic does not come, it is then not yet the close, rather only a deceptive cadence. Possibility of closing is set up but not used. The effect is naturally quite strong. For the deceptive cadences, creates a possibility of preparing the actual close again and through the repetition of ending with increased power. It has to do, I mean, it does say, it does hint in a way what Kaplan says about the, sorry about that, it was me, that very loud note. What Kaplan says about the purpose of the deceptive cadences. Yes. Because Kaplan at some point says that when you don't want to finish and you want to extend, yes, a little bit more, the actual ending of the piece or the section, you use a deceptive cadence. Because you build everything, yes, to build that expectation. That's what is the most important that we should understand about the deceptive cadence. Yeah, you build all the expectations, but you don't fulfill them. That's the key. Yeah, and you go for the 6 and the 4. He just says 6 and 4, and they says that the effect is naturally quite strong. Now, what do they have in common? 5 to 6, 5 to 4. You have something in common. These two resolutions. Interval-wise, I say.
Super strong.
Exactly. Very good, Georgios. Exactly. That is what that's why just harmonically, without getting into the motivic component, if you just through the harmony you want to, build a deceptive cadence, you will do it with these two chords. Yeah. Then that's why he doesn't mention, well, Kaplan does mention, which is the cadential deviations. Yes, because in a way they're all deceptive. In a way, because you don't fulfill the authentic cadence. Yeah, the actual closure or the close. Yeah, and they're super strong because they're as we know. Yes, they're strong. It's a fifth down, third down, mild or not that strong. Third up, fifth up, and then super strong, very, very, very strong progressions, stepwise motion going up or down, which is in this case. Yeah, and that's why he says the effect is naturally quite strong. And then this says this for the deceptive cadences creates the possibility of preparing the actual close again. It's the same that Kaplan says. Through the repetition of ending with increased power. In a way, I'm trying to build bridges between the two books, no? But doesn't Kaplan say something about that when he has a very specific, or he uses a very specific phrase, and it's in the cadential deviations chapter. Yes, Georgios.
The one more time technique.
Yes, the one more time technique. Exactly. Yes. You see how, Kaplan, of course, as an academic, as a scholar, yes. I'm sure he read it. He read this book. Yes. He went further away, much further and very specifically, yes. But that is what Schonberg, yes, you can relate to that, yes. So with increased power, preparing the actual close again. That, let's go. This time is actually the real thing, yes. That's the purpose of deceptive cadence. First, we shall introduce the deceptive cadence into the authentic cadence and exploit it for the purpose mentioned above, to lengthen the cadence, because in a way you're just extending. Yes, instead of reaching the authentic cadence in, I don't know, 8 bars, you will do it in 12 bars. Yes? But there are some precautions to be observed. First of all, since the deceptive cadence originates with the cadential fifth degree, not with just any fifth, the cadential fifth degree, then this fifth will appear in the root positions. The inversions of the fifth are rarely used to effect a deceptive cadence. The chords of the fifth can appear in inversion, however, in the progressions 5, 6, or 5, 4 at some other point that is not the cadence. The seventh chord of the fifth, on the other hand, is commonly used in the deceptive cadence. Now, what does it mean, this? The cadential fifth degree. This is not with just any fifth. And there's something that Kaplan also says about that. Even about the deceptive cadence, he makes a difference between the deceptive cadence and deceptive something else. He says the cadential fifth degree, not any fifth. What's the difference? Kaplan says that, yes. Georgios, I don't know if you're saying something.
I'm thinking.
Ah, okay. Well, very good. You do think.
The position in the theme would make it cadential.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the fifth degree will be accompanied by several things. Remember that a cadence, Kaplan says, if you remember the difference between the deceptive cadence and the deceptive resolution, that was not the same. Anyone remembers that? What does he say about that? Why is not the same? Why a cadence not the same as a resolution? In a nutshell. If you remember now, of course. Why is not the same?
I remember something.
Pardon?
I'm not sure. But the resolution, it wasn't necessarily like an end. So it didn't have all the components proceeding
Exactly.
somehow. So the elements, so maybe only the harmony, but not the rhythm or the...
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Remember, I know I insist a lot, but it has to do. Yes, exactly. It's you have these 5 contributing elements. Yes, not just putting a chord that makes a cadence. It has to be first of all placed in a specific place. For example, if you usually have 8 bar phrase. Yes, sentence, period, whatever, but it has 8 bars. Yes, you wouldn't have a deceptive cadence in the first bar or the second bar. You may most probably going to have a deceptive resolution. Yes, maybe a length of 2 quavers. Yes, that is more related to voice leading than to actually a cadence, because a cadence needs time, it needs the right place, and of course, this in the harmonic components you have both chords in root position. Yes, but yes, you need texture, rhythm. So you need time, you need position. Yes, okay. So the dominant will be on the weakest part of the bar, the tonic, or the 6th degree in the strong metric position. So a deceptive resolution can be to the, let's say, in a 4/4. Yeah. From the 3rd beat to the 4th beat. That is not going to be a cadence. Yes? It's just a resolution. Yeah? Yeah? More or less? Yeah? Good. So that is what it's saying. And that's why I'm trying to relate these 2 books, yes? Because they're talking about the same thing, actually. Yeah. Of course, Schonberg is just concerned about harmony, obviously, yeah. So, in connecting 5 with 6, example 84, and this is something that will go, this is what he says, yes, or kind of the methodology that he applies or he uses, is something that it will go through the whole book, and then you will see more, it's going to turn more and more common, yes. Now we're going to see these imaginary roots, yes. There's in connecting 5 to 6, example 84, we can again imagine that we are connecting the 9th chord of a root, a third lower, a third, with the 6. What is that? 5, if we imagine a third lower, yeah, this is in C major scale. E is the third, the median, connecting with the 6. That makes this root movement strong because a fifth lower. This, and connecting the 9th chord of a root, a third lower, 6 with 3 with 6. It follows obviously then that the 7th of the chord, the G, which is 7 is F, as a ninth of the imaginary E. I know it's complicated, but later in the book, I promise, this will lead us to other topics. Yes, so it's better to get this understood now. Yes, when he has a way of connecting chords with imaginary roots, more and lower and lower and lower and lower, and that's, I promise, this at some point will be the thesis or the reason why he uses atonal music. Yes, so for now, bear with me. So the 7th of the 5th, the F, okay, give me the F, regarded as the 9th of the 3rd, so the 9th of the 3rd of the E, okay, the 9th is F, so the same note. And the 5th regarded as the 7th, so the 5th of the G, 7th of the E, descends. Yeah, so the 9th and the 7th, if we consider them as harmonic tensions of a lower note, root, yes, must descend. So, in a nutshell, okay, in a nutshell, the 5th and the 7th of the dominants descend, okay, go up, yeah, they must resolve descending, in a nutshell, yeah, and of course the leading tone, yes, also has to go up. That's why you have 2 semibriefs here, yes, there, where is it? The F, yes, goes to this E, and then the D goes to one of the C's, and then the B goes to the other C. That's why you have 2 C's, yeah. Now, it is more complicated undertaking to base the connections 5-4 on the same assumption. For the 7th does not fall and could not possibly go to E because there's no E in the 4th. I mean, if we're talking about resolution of the F downward, if you go to the F, that's impossible. There's no E. Yeah? So, hence, we shall do better to construe this progression differently. Yeah? So, in the first one, yes, you have the 5th. And if we play, let's say, this imaginary, yes, He says the ninth because when it's transformed in the minor ninth, has a urgency, this F. Yeah. Do you see how clashy it becomes? It has an urgency to resolve into the C. Now we have a little problem here. So the example 85A, yes, played as G, B, D, F, going to the F. Yeah. We have the F. Now, what do we do? Now we have the C, this imaginary root position, root going to the F. Yeah. The same case is when you have the G seventh going to the first inversion of the F. Now, what do we do with the F? Yes, with the A minor, with the submedian, you don't have any problems, okay, of resolution. The problems comes with the 4, yeah, and you see how different is the effect from the 6th to the 4th. Yeah, it's a very. They're both deceptive cadences. They both count stepwise. But if you have to describe the difference, yeah, take into account that the obvious thing that the 6th is minor, the 4th is major. Okay, that we know. Yeah. If you have to describe into words, yes, and this is very subjective, the effect, let's say, yeah, between this 5-6 and the 5-4, either in first inversion like this one or in root position. What's the difference? I know it's very, yeah, it's not objective, it's subjective, okay? But because you have to use it at some point, how would you describe it? The difference between one and the other one. I mean, one resolution to the other resolution.
Sixth to the 6th, 5-6 sounds more complete to my ears, whereas to the 4 sounds like more incomplete. Sounds almost as if something else is pending to happen. Yes, I could give you examples of what I would like to happen, but anyway, that's how it sounds to my ears. Would you like to? I will say yes or no. So, you know, there is that, how do you call it? I don't remember how we call it now, right? Because we don't remember. Abandoned. The one that doesn't group backwards, group forward. Anyway, the thing that is, let me. The deceptive will be this. Then try again. Whereas I think it's abandoned. I hope I'm not ruining everything now. I didn't invade it, but I think I'm pretty sure it's abandoned. The one that when you go to the different chord, you have already started the next thing, where it is.
Yeah, the abandoned.
Yeah. I have the 4th is the first of the next cadence.
Yeah. The abandoned when you say is when on the resolution you start another thing and you carry on.
Yes. That's what the 5-4.
Yeah. Yeah. I must say I do agree. I believe that the reason why, because 5-6 you resolve in, I mean, there's the resolution of the tritone is there. Because if you have the famous tritone, which is remember the maximum tension, yes, that you have the harmonic, no, to the resolution, yeah, is there in the 5/6. You have the leading tone B, yeah, towards the resolve on the tonic, and the F, the other note of the tritone, resolve on the E. C and E gives you the identity, enough identity, to have some image, residual at least, of the tonic. A residual image of the kind of implied. So, yes, you didn't go to the tonic, but hidden there is the beyond, behind the midst of the A minor, the submedians, is there. In the fourth, is not there. I mean, the tritone, to keep this, that's why that's why I also was asking, because the whole deal, yes, behind this F, famous F, the 7th, that is held and it doesn't resolve, is a whole issue, let's say. And I believe that's why, yes, it's not the same to use 5/4. It doesn't matter, because some books it says, okay, 5/6 and 5/4 in 6 is the same thing, because the bass goes up, one up. I don't think so. That's my idea. Yes, you can follow or you cannot follow. Yes, I can give you that reason. Yeah. And I believe that, yes, if you have to, relate to the book of Kaplan, it gives you that feeling of it went someplace else, it didn't resolve it. It's like an abandoned cadence without all the motivic components, yes, like you said, but kind of gives you that idea of it starts something new, because you're still waiting that resolution of the F pendant, let's say, and that leads us to this topic of the resolution of the 7th. Yeah. So that's why for me, yes, I just want you to see that the effects are not the same. At least, I mean, you can of course, no, have different opinions, but I don't think that the effect is the same. You have most of the books of harmony says 5/6, 5/4 and 6 is the same. No, it's not the same. For these reasons, yes. So we shall do better to construe this progression differently. 5/4, yes. I have already said that there are different ways of resolving dissonance. To take the dissonant tone downward is one of the means. Yes. The other three possibilities are to take it upward, sustain it, or move away by skip. So those are the other possibilities. To take it upward. So if you cannot descend, like in this case, yeah, can't. Either take it upward, you sustain it, or move it away by skip. Okay? We're going to see that. In this case, what happened? Which is this, in these two cases, what happened? Upward, sustain, or skip? Georgios.
Sustain.
Yes. If you see, very good, Georgios. F, the F is the 7th. Remember that we have a whole deal with the 7th, that they have to be prepared, yes, and they have to be resolved downwards. Well, in this case, it's not the case. It can happen. So it's one of the three possibilities, sustained. The F is sustained towards the next chord, in this case, the F, by the means of the octave. Yes. And this is the means of the third. Why third? Because A to F, yes, it's a 6, sorry. I have a huge 6 there. and the means of the octave FF. We're going to carry on with this, don't worry. Yes, but these are the three possibilities for now. If we see that the dissonances hardly come about as our pedagogical method for the sake of clear organization presents them, namely that yet another third was added about the triad. Okay, now basically he's telling you about, I'm not going to read everything, he's telling you about that the seventh was born in the counterpoint, which you already know, as a passing dissonance. Yes, to resume, okay. Which species are he talking about? This? To which species can we connect now that we know? We know now. Which species of counterpoint deals with this type of dissonance? In this case, you have a third, seventh descends to the.
Actually, of which I'm not sure because this is like the triple meter second. Yes, but actually, yes, 3 notes over 1. Yes, it's like that. However, we actually saw that pattern with crotchet meaning only in the 5th piece, for which I am quite confused, so I'm not sure actually. But it's like the second one, which is 3 over 1, or even 2 over 1. I don't know, 3 over 1.
Yes, I see your point, but I think maybe the confusing part is the rhythm. But if you see, you have if you divide this in two, you have 2 beats, yes. But if you continue subdivide by 2, yes, like 4 crochets, and the 4 crochets have strong, weak, yes, and strong, weak, strong, it will be related to the second species, the binary.
Yes, but that's what I said even second. But then the second would be, well, a different note on the second strong beat.
Well, yes, I mean, yes, in the strict counterpoint, you will have another menem.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you will have, but it is just related. Yeah, we're just relating it. Yeah.
So this one actually we only saw the 5th pieces.
Yeah. This says the passing dissonance begins, let's say, in the second species. And then, of course, yes, is developed in the 5th. Yeah. But the origin of a passing dissonance is in the second.
Yes, I see.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Such a dissonance was called passing, and the old counterpoint had a number of rules and conditions that restricted its usage, as we very well know now. Now imagine the 7th chord as of the 5th as originating through such passing tones like these ones. The 7th chord is a phenomenon that appears in passing. It's a passing dissonance. And its rules are derived from the form in which it appears. These could then be formulated as follows, so far as they are relevant here. The interval of a 7th can be resolved by taking the 7th downward, as we very well know. Yes, 88A, 88B, yes, now where is it? Where are you? Here. Passing down, as you just saw before in the first one. Yeah. But sustaining 88C or D, so C or D, C and D, as the example we just saw. So the 7th is sustained into the 4th, first inversion, or to the 4th, yes, but this one, we see what? And or by taking upward, yes, taking it upward, E or F, yeah. Now this E or F, we have a little problem here. Yes, because the 88E and F is usually not regarded as harmonic. Yeah, it's more melodic. So if you want to really intertwine the voices, you won't use it. Yes, you will see why. Now, the handling of dissonance is then, after all, not really such a dangerous affair. Indeed, the masterworks would almost allow this formulation as a law. The dissonance must be resolved. That is, a chord with a dissonance must be followed by some other chord. That's not very specific. A statement in which says nothing at all but which is the most pertinent in this case. Once one has got used to this idea, then the conception of a root progression, a fourth upward, 1/4, as the basis of the resolution 574, example 85, the one that we saw, is no longer so odd. The 11th chord, C, E, G, B, D, F, resolved to F, A, C, F with 7th sustained. Now, let's go a little bit more, and then we'll see that this has sense. Now, the 7th chord involved on account is rising 7th is regarded as a passing chord. Again, the 7th chord involved on account of its rising 7th is regarded as a passing chord. Nevertheless, it was a common practice, this one. This one is not used as a cadence because it's a passing. Passing, but if you see the pedal tones, yeah, that's why. But the laws of harmonic theory read as follows. A 7th must descend, or if it be sustained, then the root is to move upward. This is important. A 7th must descend, or if it be sustained, then the root is to move upward. So that's why this is correct and this is not correct. Because if this is sustained, it's not moving upward, the bass. It's moving downward.
But what is the problem?
Well, let's keep on reading. Whoa! Later, an exception was made. Let me see. The progression example 88D, this one, is also forbidden for the same reason. Why? An exception was made natural an exception instead of conceiving the rule broadly enough to accommodate the phenomena. And it was said, okay, if that's so and so, then one may, etc. Then the exceptional assent of the 7th was admitted in order to get a complete chord. Actually, that's why, is to get a complete chord. But consequently, since that was an exception, the rule of the so-called versus even but 7th still held that the 7th, those lower tone descends a step while the 7th is sustained, or vice versa, the 7th ascends a step while the lower tone is sustained. A 7th, in short, that resolves into the octave, FF. Yes? And the resolving of the 7th into the octave through descent of the lower tone or through ascent of the 7th continue to be forbidden, even though such resolution occurs often enough with independent voice leading in the masterworks. The progression in example 88D, the one we saw, is also forbidden for the same reason. However, since these progressions apparently could be not given up entirely, the theory admitted of the resolution to the 6th chord, example 89A, this one, whereby it did, to be sure, to get around the difficulties of voice leading, avoiding fifths and obtaining a complete chord. That's why, actually. Avoiding fifths and obtaining a complete chord. That's why usually you get this G going to the A, to the 4th in 6. That's generally why you use it. Yes, not because the G has to go a tone to the A. Generally, the reason why the books say is because the G has to go to the A. Actually, it's not that much. It's because, yeah, you're.
So if the dominant seventh did not have a fifth, it would be okay.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I know this.
Oh, it is. Well, no, but
But oh,
sorry, I thought he did that later, but no, he just omitted the third.
no, but that's why this is wrong. The G, D, F, C.
On
So-
C, he omitted the third. I don't understand anyway. Why did he? I speak too much.
Why he omitted the third in
Yeah,
where?
C.
Wait.
On C, he on C, not B.
Ah,
ABC.
C. Sorry.
He omitted the third of the fourth chord. But he could just anyway. I thought he did. Anyway, as a why did he do that? Anyway, he did that. Whatever.
I prefer to always put the third. Yes, sometimes for reasons of voice leading, you can do that. I mean, we know that the third is the one that gives you the the identity, but sometimes to avoid again fifths, you would take the third and then triple the root. Yeah, but
only in an open position.
pardon?
You understand that D is possible only in an open position. If it was D, if it was closed, it would be impossible. D. Yeah.
Wait, to mix to put
No,
the
D.
B here and the D there.
D. Example 89 D.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I understand the difficulty of this because if it was closed position, it would be impossible. It would be overlapping of some sort.
Ah, the D, exactly. The D, the tenor, one octave higher.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's this D and the tenor is one octave higher. Open position is an overlapping D going back to the, falling to the A. That's not really. Yes. This is the best solution because it also is contrary motion. Yeah. Now, the most important thing, yes, is that two things from here. Yes. I know that this is seventh. This paragraph is it's very hard to read. Yes, but in a nutshell, yes. One, yes. The Deceptive Cadences, yes, to round up. One, they have to be in a very specific part of the piece, either for you composers or for you performers like Laura. Yes, that cannot be mistaken as a deceptive resolution. The deceptive resolution is just a 5/6, whatever 5/6. No, that's not a deceptive cadence. Yes, the cadence builds up the expectation by motifs, by texture, by the roots, and it doesn't fulfill it. Yes. Now we have two cases: 5/6 or 5/4. The 5/4 is not, as we discussed, yes, and this is very personal. Yes, the 5/6, you hear, yes, you listen to some sort of resolution which is not fulfilled, but you have the root, you hear the root and the third of the chord that you were supposed to go. That's why it's so strong. And then, in a way, you have a resolution. They say, okay, this is the end of something. Not what I expected, but it's the end. And the 4, you have still that seventh. Yes, that's why this whole chapter is about, okay, the seventh is not fulfilled. And how do you resolve it? Because I believe, it's not in the book, but I believe it's you're still waiting, yes, for something. Now that seventh, that tension, you can play with it. For me, harmonically is the lesson to be learned. Yes. Play with it. Yes. Have that in mind. That seventh in the listener is traveling, and there is a sustain that you go. At some point, you have to go. At some point, for this, sake of the minds of these people that are listening to your music, resolve it. How? That's why it says a dissonance at some point in the chart just now. It says a dissonance has to be resolved by another chord at some point. Yes. Now, if you do a fourth as a dominant, how you're going to sustain it? Well, either sustain it or you go upward. If you go upward, it has to be treated as an exception and as part of going someplace else. As a, yeah, melodically, let's say, more melodically than harmonically. And the reason why is used this 5 in 6 is more used is to avoid parallel fifths, yes, and because you want to use a complete full chord, not because some books claim, yes, it's because you are imitating this relationship of the bass going a tone up. Yes, actually it's a voicing problem. Yeah. And that's, I mean, we have a lot of more examples. Maybe I will go a little bit of examples very briefly next lesson of some examples that they're resolutions. They're not cadences that you might use, yes, for your both entertainment. And then we're going to see the 6/4 chord in cadences, which is not very long, yeah. And that will be the end of the chapter, yes. And then we're going to have a freer, which is really like a freer treatment of the 7th, yes. The 7th is the downfall of the tonal system. It's not